You are not alone. That feeling in your chest right now, that tightness, that heat rising in your face, you know exactly what I am talking about. You have felt it before. Maybe you felt it this morning. Maybe you felt it yesterday at work, or in a shop, or on a phone call. Someone spoke English to you, and something inside you just froze. Your brain went quiet. Your mouth went dry. All the words you studied, all the hours you spent, all the vocabulary you practiced alone in your room gone, disappeared, like they were never there at all. And so you did what most people do. You smiled, you nodded. Maybe you said yes, even though you had no idea what they said. Or maybe you said nothing at all. You looked at the floor. You let someone else answer. You pretended your phone needed your attention. You found a way out. And then, after it was over, you felt it. That shame. That quiet, heavy shame that sits on your shoulders like a stone. You told yourself you were stupid. You told yourself your English was too bad. You told yourself that other people, real English speakers, would laugh at you. You told yourself to wait. Wait until your English is better. Wait until you are ready. Wait until you are perfect. But here is the truth. You have been waiting for years, and you are still waiting, and nothing has changed, because waiting is not a strategy. Waiting is fear wearing a disguise. I want to talk to you today about embarrassment. Real embarrassment. The kind that stops you from living your life. The kind that keeps you silent when you have something important to say. The kind that has stolen opportunities from you, jobs, friendships, experiences, moments that you will never get back. And I want to talk to you about how to destroy it. Not manage it, not reduce it. Destroy it completely. Because you deserve to speak. You deserve to be heard. And the embarrassment you feel, it is lying to you. Every single day, it is lying to you. And today, we are going to expose every one of those lies. Let me tell you about a woman named Yuna. She came to London from South Korea when she was 26 years old. She had studied English in school for 10 years. 10 years. She could read English novels. She could write detailed emails. She understood grammar rules that even native speakers did not know. On paper, her English was impressive. But the moment someone spoke to her in natural, fast, real English, her mind collapsed. She told me that her first week in London, she went to a coffee shop. She practiced her order at home. 1 flat white, please, 4 words. She practiced them in the mirror. She felt ready. She walked in. She stood in line. She waited her turn. The barista smiled at her and said, "Hi, what can I get for you today?" And Yuna's brain heard something like, "Hi, wada jed for you tedai." And she had no idea, not one idea, what he had said. She pointed at the menu. She felt her face turn red. She felt tears behind her eyes. She paid, she took her coffee, and she walked outside. And she stood on the pavement in the cold London air, and she cried. Not because of the coffee, because of the shame. Because she had studied for 10 years, and she still could not order a coffee. Do you know what Yuna did after that? She stopped going to coffee shops. She started avoiding situations where she had to speak. She found a job where she mostly worked alone. She spent her evenings at home watching Korean television. She was in London, one of the most exciting cities on earth, and she was hiding. For 2 years, she hid. Maybe her story sounds familiar to you. Maybe it is not London. Maybe it is your office. Maybe it is a parent-teacher meeting at your child's school. Maybe it is a doctor's appointment. Maybe it is a job interview that you did not even apply for because you were too afraid. Maybe it is a friendship you never started because the other person only spoke English and you did not trust your own voice. You are not stupid. Yuna was not stupid. The problem was never intelligence. The problem was a lie that got into your head a long time ago. And that lie sounds like this: if I make a mistake, people will think less of me. Let me destroy that lie right now. Think about the last time someone spoke to you in your native language, but not perfectly. Maybe they were a tourist. Maybe they were a colleague from another country. Maybe they were a child just learning. Did you think they were stupid? Did you laugh at them? Did you think less of them? Of course you did not. You probably felt something warm toward them. You probably admired them for trying. You probably wanted to help them. Native English speakers feel the same way about you. I have spoken to hundreds of native English speakers about this. Teachers, business people, travelers, shop owners. I ask them directly, when someone speaks to you in English with an accent or with mistakes, what do you actually think? And almost every single one of them said the same thing. They said they felt respect. They said they found it impressive. They said they wished they could speak another language themselves. They said they felt guilty, actually guilty, that they only spoke one language while the other person spoke 2 or 3. Not one person said they thought the other person was stupid. Not one. The story in your head, the one where everyone is secretly laughing at your accent, secretly judging your grammar, secretly finding you embarrassing. That story is not real. You invented it. Your fear invented it. And your fear has been telling you that story every day, and you have been believing it every day, and it has been costing you every single day. But let me go deeper, because I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, but what about when people actually do laugh? What about when someone repeats what I said in a mocking voice? What about when someone says, I don't understand you, and looks impatient? It has happened to you, hasn't it? Someone made you feel small because of your English. Maybe it was one person. Maybe it was one moment. But that moment stuck to you like glue. That moment became the voice in your head. That one impatient face became the face of every English speaker you would ever meet. Let me tell you something important. That person, the one who made you feel small, that person was rude. That person was unkind. That person was the problem, not you. And here is the real tragedy. You gave that one rude person the power to silence you forever. You let one stranger's bad manners take your voice away. You gave the wrong person too much power. And today, you are taking it back. Let me tell you about Carlos. He grew up in Mexico and moved to the United States at the age of 30. He worked in construction. His English was basic. He knew how to talk about work, how to order food, how to ask simple questions. But his accent was very strong, and people sometimes asked him to repeat himself. One day, his supervisor, in front of everyone on the work site, said, "Carlos, I can never understand a word you say. Can you please just speak clearly?" Everyone heard it. Everyone turned to look. Carlos felt the blood rush to his face. He felt his hands shake. He said nothing. He nodded. He went back to work. That night, he decided he would never speak English again, unless he absolutely had to. But something happened 3 months later. There was an accident on the work site. A piece of machinery fell. A man was injured, and Carlos was the first person there. The injured man was panicking, and without thinking, without planning, without practicing, without waiting to be perfect, Carlos spoke. He spoke in English. He told the man to stay still. He told the other workers what had happened. He called the emergency services and described the situation clearly and calmly. The man survived. Afterward, the site manager, not the supervisor, the actual manager, took Carlos aside. He said, "Carlos, your English is better than you think. In a crisis, you communicated perfectly. I want you to start training as a team leader." Carlos became a team leader, then a site manager. Then he opened his own small construction company. He employs 14 people today. None of that would have happened if Carlos had kept waiting to be perfect. Here is what Carlos told me when I asked him about that moment. He said, "When someone needed me, my embarrassment disappeared. I stopped thinking about my accent. I stopped thinking about my grammar. I just thought about the person who needed help. And the English came." This is one of the most powerful truths about language learning. The embarrassment exists when you are focused on yourself. The moment you focus on someone else, on helping, on connecting, on communicating, the embarrassment shrinks. It does not disappear completely at first, but it shrinks. And every time you focus outward instead of inward, it shrinks a little more. Your embarrassment is the result of too much self-focus. And I do not say that to criticize you. I say it because it is the key that unlocks everything. You have been walking into English conversations thinking, "How do I sound? Are they judging me? Am I making mistakes? Do I look stupid?" And all of that thinking, all of that internal noise, is using up the mental space you need to actually listen and speak. You are spending your energy on fear instead of communication. And then you make more mistakes because you are nervous. And then you feel more embarrassed. And it becomes a cycle, a terrible, exhausting cycle. The solution is not to study more grammar. The solution is to shift your focus. Ask yourself, before any English conversation, what does this person need from me? What am I trying to give? Focus on the message, not the performance. Focus on the human being in front of you, not the imaginary audience in your head. Now let me talk about something that nobody tells you. Nobody tells you how many mistakes native English speakers make every single day. They confuse fewer and less. They say "between you and I" when it should be "between you and me." They mix up there, and there. They mispronounce words. They trail off mid-sentence. They say and and like, and constantly. They forget words. They start sentences and don't finish them. They speak in incomplete fragments. And nobody cares. Nobody laughs. Nobody thinks less of them. Communication still happens. Life goes on. You are holding yourself to a standard that native speakers do not even hold themselves to. You are demanding perfection from yourself that does not exist anywhere in the real English-speaking world. You are playing a game where the rules are impossible, and then feeling ashamed when you cannot win. Stop playing that game. It is not real. Real communication is messy. Real communication is imperfect. Real communication is full of pauses and mistakes and corrections. And sorry, let me say that again, moments. And that is completely, absolutely, 100% fine. I want you to think about a baby learning to walk. When a baby falls down, and they fall down dozens of times, hundreds of times, does anyone in the room think the baby is a failure? Does anyone say, "This baby is clearly not intelligent enough to walk. This baby should give up"? Of course not. Everyone watching a baby learn to walk feels joy. They feel encouragement. They cheer every single small step, every single attempt, every single fall followed by another try. You are learning something incredibly difficult. You are learning to express your entire personality, your humor, your intelligence, your emotions, your ideas, in a language that is not the one your brain was wired for from birth. That is not a small thing. That is one of the hardest cognitive challenges a human being can take on. And you are doing it, imperfectly, messily, with mistakes and embarrassment and fear, but you are doing it. And that deserves not shame. It deserves celebration. Let me tell you about the science of embarrassment for a moment. Researchers have studied it, and they found something fascinating. The embarrassment you feel in a difficult situation is almost always much more intense in your own experience than it is in the experience of people watching you. Scientists call this the spotlight effect. You feel like a spotlight is shining on you. You feel like everyone is watching and judging. But in reality, people are mostly thinking about themselves. They are worried about their own problems. They are planning what to say next. They are thinking about lunch. The spotlight you feel is almost entirely in your imagination. This has been proven in study after study. People consistently overestimate how much others notice their mistakes and how long others remember them. The mistake that feels enormous and permanent to you is, to everyone around you, a small moment they have already forgotten. So the audience you are afraid of, they have already moved on. They forgot your mispronounced word the moment you said it. They do not remember your hesitation. They are not thinking about you at all. And yet, you are still carrying that moment. You are still using it to silence yourself. You are punishing yourself for a crime that no one else even witnessed. Put it down. It is too heavy, and it is not real. Now I want to speak to you about something very specific. I want to speak to you about your accent, because I know this is something that many of you carry. You worry that your accent makes you hard to understand. You worry that your accent makes you sound less educated, less professional, less intelligent. You try to hide your accent. You try to sound like someone you are not. And when your natural accent comes out anyway, because it always does, you feel exposed. Like someone has seen something you were trying to hide. I need you to hear this very carefully. Your accent is not a flaw. Your accent is proof. It is proof that you speak more than one language. It is proof that you have done something most people never do. It is proof that you have worked, struggled, studied, and pushed through discomfort to reach the level you are at right now. Your accent tells a story. It says, I was born somewhere else. I grew up in a different culture, in a different language, and I chose to learn this one too. That is not something to hide. That is something to wear with pride. Some of the most respected and powerful voices in the English-speaking world speak with accents. People like Malala Yousafzai, who changed the world with her words. People like Elon Musk, who speaks with a South African accent. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who built an entire career in Hollywood with a thick Austrian accent that people told him was impossible to understand. Kate Blanchett, Nelson Mandela, Pope Francis, who addresses millions in English with an accent as thick as the River Plate. These people did not wait until they sounded like BBC newsreaders. They spoke. They were heard. They changed things. Your accent will never stop you from being understood. What will stop you from being understood is silence. I want to talk about the moment. That specific, terrifying moment when you have to speak English and you are not ready. You know this moment. Your heart speeds up. Your palms become damp. Your mind goes blank. Your throat tightens. And you have about 3 seconds to decide, will you speak or will you retreat? This is the most important moment in your entire language learning journey. Not the grammar exercises, not the vocabulary tests, not the lessons. This moment, right here, 3 seconds, will you speak? Most people retreat, and I understand why. Retreating feels safe. Retreating feels like protecting yourself from embarrassment. But here is what retreating actually does to you. Every time you retreat, your brain learns that this situation is dangerous. It files it away. English conversations dangerous. Avoid. And the next time a similar situation comes, your brain sounds the alarm even louder. Your heart beats even faster. The anxiety gets worse. The retreating gets more automatic. But every time you speak, even badly, even nervously, even with the wrong words, your brain learns something different. It learns, English conversation, I survived. It was uncomfortable, but I survived. And your brain files that away too. And next time, the alarm is slightly quieter. The heart beats slightly slower. The words come slightly easier. This is not motivation. This is neuroscience. Your brain physically changes with every experience. When you face the fear, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are teaching it a new truth. English conversations are not dangerous. I can do this. I have done this before, and I can do it again. Every time you speak, you build a new road in your brain. At first, it is a rough dirt path, uncomfortable, difficult, slow. But every conversation, every attempt, every mistake you survive, it is like laying another stone on that road. One day, without even noticing, the road becomes smooth. The words come easily. The fear becomes background noise. And then it becomes something even smaller. Just a tiny flutter before you speak. The normal nervousness that everyone feels. Not the paralysis you know now. But you have to lay the first stone, and the second, and the third. You have to survive the dirt path before you get the smooth road. There is no shortcut. There is no app or course or perfect lesson that gives you the smooth road without the dirt path. You have to walk it. So let me ask you something. I want you to think honestly about this. How many opportunities have you let pass by because of this fear? How many conversations did you avoid? How many job applications did you not submit? How many times did you sit silently in a meeting when you had something important to say? How many friendships did you not start? How many experiences did you miss? I am not asking you to feel guilty. I am asking you to feel the weight of what the fear has cost you. Really feel it. Because that weight, that real, heavy cost, is the reason to change. Not because change is easy. Not because it will be comfortable. But because the cost of staying silent is greater than the cost of being embarrassed. The embarrassment lasts seconds. The regret lasts years. Let me tell you about a man named Ahmed. He was 53 years old. He had lived in England for 20 years. He worked hard. He paid his taxes. He raised 3 children who were all fluent, natural English speakers. But Ahmed himself had barely improved his English in 2 decades. Why? Because he had found a life that worked around his English. His wife translated for him. His children translated for him. His friends at the mosque spoke Arabic. He had a life inside English society that was almost entirely in Arabic. Then his wife became ill, seriously ill, and suddenly Ahmed had to navigate the British medical system alone. Appointments, test results, doctors explaining complex things, decisions to make, and there was no one to translate. Ahmed told me that the first hospital appointment alone was the most terrifying experience of his life. He sat across from a consultant. The consultant spoke quickly, used medical words Ahmed did not know. Ahmed understood perhaps 30% of what was said, and he had to make a decision about his wife's treatment. He went home and he cried. And then, this is the part that changed his life. He did something he had never done before. He wrote down all the words and phrases he did not understand. He looked them up. He practiced questions. And he went back. He asked the doctor to speak more slowly. He asked him to explain the words he did not understand. He said, "I am sorry, my English is not perfect. Can you help me understand?" And the doctor, this busy consultant in a busy hospital, stopped, took a breath, and spent 20 minutes making sure Ahmed understood every single thing. He drew diagrams. He used simpler words. He wrote things down. Ahmed said that in all 20 years of hiding from his English, he had always assumed that asking for help would make people impatient, would make them look down on him. That one moment taught him the opposite, that asking for help was not weakness, it was intelligence. It was taking responsibility. It was an act of love for his wife. Ahmed's wife recovered. And Ahmed, at the age of 53, started an English class. He is now, 5 years later, the most enthusiastic student his teacher has ever had. He volunteers as a community translator. He helps other people who are exactly where he was 20 years ago. He told me, "I wasted 20 years because of embarrassment. Please, please, do not waste 20 years like me." I am passing his words to you now. Do not waste another year. Do not waste another month. The time for waiting is over. You might be thinking, but I don't know enough words. You know more words than you think. Studies show that knowing the 1,000 most common words in English allows you to understand roughly 85% of everyday conversation. And I guarantee you no more than 1,000 words. You have probably been studying for months or years. You have more resources than you know. The words are in there. They are waiting. They just need permission to come out. You might be thinking, but my grammar is so bad. Here is a radical truth about grammar. Nobody thinks about grammar during a conversation. Nobody. Native speakers do not monitor their grammar in real time. They just speak. The grammar happens automatically because they have heard and used certain structures thousands of times. And you will get there too, but not by studying more grammar rules. You will get there by speaking, by making the grammar mistakes, by hearing yourself say the wrong thing and feeling the gentle correction and trying again. Grammar becomes automatic through use, not through study. You might be thinking, but people can't understand my pronunciation. Let me tell you something. There are 42 different sounds in English. They are genuinely difficult. Many of them do not exist in other languages. Spanish speakers struggle with the TH sound. Arabic speakers struggle with the P sound. Japanese speakers struggle with L, and R. French speakers struggle with the H sound. Everyone struggles with something. And yet, every single day, billions of conversations happen between English speakers of every accent imaginable, and communication succeeds. Understanding is built through context, through effort, through goodwill on both sides. If someone does not understand you, you find another way to say it. You try again. That is not failure. That is communication. That is exactly how it is supposed to work. I want to give you something practical. I want to give you specific things to say when you are in a difficult English moment. Because one of the biggest reasons people freeze is that they do not know how to handle the moments when communication breaks down. They feel like breaking down is the end. But breaking down and repairing is just part of how communication works. When you don't understand something, you can say, "Sorry, could you say that again, please?" Or, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that." Or even just, "Sorry," with a questioning expression. All of these are completely normal. Native speakers say them too. When you need more time to think, you can say, "Let me think about that for a moment." Or, "That's a good question." Or you can simply pause. Pauses are allowed. Pauses are normal. A pause is not failure, it is thinking, and thinking is good. When you make a mistake and want to correct yourself, you can say, "Sorry, I mean," or "What I wanted to say is." Native speakers do this constantly. Correcting yourself is a sign of intelligence and self-awareness, not weakness. When you know your English is making something hard, you can be honest. You can say, "My English isn't perfect. Please be patient with me." In my experience, saying this immediately changes the atmosphere of a conversation. People soften. People lean in. People want to help. Honesty about your limitations does not make you look weak. It makes you look courageous. It invites kindness instead of judgment. These phrases are your tools. Use them. They make hard moments manageable. They turn breakdowns into bridges. Now I want to talk about something deeper. I want to talk about identity. When you speak a foreign language, you often feel like a different and smaller version of yourself. In your native language, you are funny, confident, articulate, complex, interesting. You can make people laugh. You can argue your point. You can tell stories that hold a room. In English, you feel like a child, simple, limited, reduced. This is one of the most painful parts of learning a language, and it is one that people do not talk about enough. Because it is not just about words. It is about who you are. And when you cannot be fully yourself in a language, you feel invisible. You feel less than. But here is what I need you to understand. You are not less in English. You are earlier. You are at an earlier point in the journey. The complex, funny, articulate, interesting person you are in your native language, that person is not gone. They are waiting. They are in there. They will emerge, word by word, conversation by conversation, as you build more roads in your English brain. Think of it like moving into a new house. At first, you cannot find anything. The kitchen feels wrong. You keep reaching for the light switch in the wrong place. You don't know where the nearest supermarket is. You feel uncomfortable, inefficient, lost. But after a few months, the house feels like home. Your hands move automatically. You know where everything is. You feel like yourself again. English is a house you are still learning to live in. Give yourself the time to learn where everything is. Stop judging yourself for not knowing yet. You have not lived there long enough. I also want to talk to you about comparison. Because I know many of you look at other people, maybe a colleague, maybe a friend, maybe someone on social media, and you see their English and you think, "Why is their English so good? Why can't I be like them?" And you use their progress as evidence of your failure. You use their fluency as a hammer to beat yourself with. Stop doing this. Stop immediately. You do not know their story. You do not know how many years they spent in silent embarrassment before they got to where they are. You do not know how many mistakes they made. You do not see the private failures, the confused moments, the nights they felt exactly like you feel right now. Your journey is yours. Your pace is yours. Your starting point, your context, your challenges, all yours. Comparing your inside to someone else's outside is one of the cruelest things you can do to yourself, and it changes nothing. It only makes you feel worse and moves you no closer to where you want to be. The only comparison that matters is you yesterday and you today. Are you a little braver than yesterday? Did you say one thing in English that you did not say last week? Did you ask one question you would have stayed silent about before? That is progress. That is real progress. Celebrate it. Now I want to speak to those of you who have had a specific, painful experience. A moment that really hurt. Maybe someone laughed at you. Maybe someone said something unkind. Maybe a teacher embarrassed you in front of others. Maybe someone at work made you feel stupid. Maybe a stranger was impatient with you and it cut deep. I see you. I know that moment is real. I know it left a mark. And I am not going to tell you to just get over it or pretend it did not happen. It happened. It hurt. Your feelings are valid. But I want to ask you something. That person, do you remember their name? Probably not. Do they remember you? Almost certainly not. They have completely forgotten that moment. It lives only in you. And you have been carrying it for months, maybe years. You have been letting a person who does not even remember you decide what your voice is worth. Your voice is worth more than that person's momentary rudeness. Your voice carries your experiences, your culture, your history, your knowledge, your humanity. No stranger's impatience gets to determine the value of that. No one gets that power over you unless you give it to them. And today, right now, you are taking it back. You are taking it back. Let me talk to you about what is waiting for you on the other side of this fear. Because I do not want to only talk about the struggle. I want to talk about what is possible when you break through the embarrassment. And you will, things change in ways you cannot fully imagine right now. Doors open, real doors. Job opportunities that were closed to you become available. Friendships that were impossible become real. Experiences that were behind a language wall become accessible. Travel becomes richer. Your world becomes larger. You become larger. But more than the practical things, and the practical things are wonderful more than those, something happens inside you. Something shifts in how you see yourself. Because every time you face the fear and speak anyway, you build something. You build proof. Proof that you are braver than you thought. Proof that you can do hard things. Proof that embarrassment does not kill you. It is just uncomfortable, and uncomfortable is survivable. And that proof, those small, accumulated moments of courage, changes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who tries, someone who speaks, someone who pushes through. And that version of yourself is not just better at English. That version of yourself is stronger in every area of life. The courage you build in English conversations will show up in your work. It will show up in your relationships. It will show up in the risks you are willing to take. Because courage is not department specific. Courage is a muscle, and every time you use it, It grows stronger everywhere. Let me tell you about Yuna again, because her story does not end on that cold London pavement with the coffee she could not order. 2 years after that morning, something changed. She was at work. She had found a job at a small design company, and a client came in unexpectedly. The client spoke only English. Her colleague, who usually handled English clients, was sick, and Yuna was the only person available. She told me she felt the familiar panic rise in her chest. She felt the heat in her face. She felt every old instinct telling her to escape. But she also felt something else. She felt something she described as tired. Tired of hiding. Tired of making herself small. Tired of letting the fear run her life. She took a breath. She walked up to the client. She said, in English, imperfectly, nervously, with her Korean accent strong and her hands slightly shaking, she said, "Hello, I am Yuna. I will help you today. My English is not perfect, but I will try my best." And the client, this stranger she had been terrified of, smiled the warmest smile and said, "That's all any of us can do." They had a 2-hour meeting. Yuna understood maybe 70% of what was said. She asked for clarification 4 times. She mispronounced several words. She had to rephrase things twice. The client understood everything that mattered. The meeting was a success. Yuna cried on the way home. But they were completely different tears from the ones she cried on that cold pavement 2 years before. These were tears of relief. Tears of, why did I wait so long? Why did I let fear take 2 years of my life? She told me, that one meeting gave me back something I did not know the fear had taken. It gave me back my confidence, not just in English, in myself. Yuna is now a senior designer. She leads client meetings. She gives presentations. She is not perfect. She still makes mistakes. She still occasionally has a moment where a word escapes her, where she has to pause and rephrase. But she does not feel shame anymore. She feels like herself. You will feel like yourself too. On the other side of this fear, you are waiting for yourself. So let me talk about what happens next. After this speech is over, after the feeling it gives you right now starts to fade, because feelings do fade, and that is normal. What do you actually do? You find the smallest possible step, not the biggest, not the bravest, the smallest. What is the one smallest English conversation you could have today? Not a presentation, not a difficult meeting, just one small thing. Could you say good morning in English to someone you walk past? Could you order something in English at a cafe? Could you send one email in English instead of using a translation app? Could you leave one comment in English on a video or article? Could you speak one English sentence out loud, alone in your room, just to hear your own voice in the language? Start there, tiny, specific, today. And then tomorrow, one more. And the day after, one more. Not because each step is huge, but because each step is real. Each step is a stone on the road. Each step is your brain learning the new truth. I can do this. I have done it before. I can do it again. There will be bad days. Days when a conversation goes badly, when someone does not understand you, when you forget a word at exactly the wrong moment. Those days will come. And when they do, I want you to remember this. A bad English day is not evidence that you cannot do this. It is evidence that you are doing it. You cannot have a bad English day if you are not speaking English. The bad days are proof of your courage. Every single person who is now fluent in a language they were not born speaking has a collection of embarrassing stories. Stories of misunderstandings. Stories of wrong words in wrong moments. Stories of blank faces and confused looks and uncomfortable silences. They carry those stories not with shame, but with laughter, because those stories are the road. Those stories are the journey. Those stories are how you get from where you are to where you want to be. You do not get the fluency without the stories. So start collecting them. I want to end with this. I want to end with you, not a story about someone else. You picked up this speech. You listened this far. That already tells me something important about you. It tells me you have not given up. It tells me some part of you still believes that things can be different. Some part of you still wants more. Some part of you knows that this embarrassment, this silence, this waiting, it is not who you are meant to be. That part of you is right. You learned your native language through thousands of messy, imperfect attempts. You made mistakes constantly. You mispronounced words. You used wrong grammar. You confused adults who patiently corrected you and let you try again. And now your native language feels like breathing, effortless, automatic, natural. You do not even think about it. You just speak. English will feel like that one day. Not tomorrow. Not next month, maybe, but one day. And the only variable, the only thing that determines whether that day comes, is whether you keep going. Whether you keep speaking despite the embarrassment. Whether you choose the discomfort of trying over the comfort of silence. The comfort of silence is a trap. It feels safe. It feels like protection. But it is a prison. A quiet, invisible prison with no walls and no lock, because you can walk out any time you choose. You have always been able to walk out. The door has always been open. Walk out today. Your English does not need to be perfect for you to deserve to be heard. You deserve to be heard right now, today, with the English you have right now. Imperfect, accented, uncertain, brave. Speak even when your voice shakes, especially when your voice shakes. Say the thing you have been holding back. Ask the question you have been swallowing. Start the conversation you have been delaying. Apply for the job. Make the phone call. Introduce yourself to the person you have been too afraid to speak to. Go to the coffee shop. Order the coffee. You have been quiet for long enough. The world needs to hear what you have to say. In your accent. In your imperfect, beautiful, hard-won English. With all your mistakes and all your courage and all your years of quiet determination. You are not too embarrassed to speak English. Not anymore. You are ready. You have always been ready. Now go speak.